Hello, my name is Griffin Parker with Parker Monuments in Knightdale, North Carolina. And in this video, I'd like to talk about the 5 headstone types you really should avoid putting out in the cemetery. So if that interests you, stay tuned. All right, number 5 on our list is going to be temporary markers. These are those little, usually they're aluminum, little stakes that stick in the ground, and they have the inscription, the name and dates on them. And this is a temporary measure that the funeral home puts out in the cemetery. This is not intended for long-term use. You'll be surprised how often these things get misplaced. Lawnmower chews them up or something like that. So you need to put something more permanent out on the plot. This is just for temporary use. Number 4 is going to be thin markers. So there are plenty of thin markers available for sale online. They're going to range from anywhere like an inch thick to like 2.5 inches thick. In this range, I would say is too thin. I would stick with anything 3 inches or larger. 4 inches is what we do, what is standard in our business. 3 inches, you're getting really at the minimum, and then anything less than that can easily break if something drives on top of it. And anything installed flat, ground level in the cemetery is going to get driven on at some point. So go ahead and get something that's thick and can handle the weight. Number 3, precast markers. When I say precast, I'm referring to concrete. So concrete in the cemetery in general is not going to hold up. Think about your driveway at your house. Talk to a driveway company. What do they say is the lifespan of a driveway? 40, 50 years, I don't know. But the point is they don't last forever. Concrete has a lifespan, and it deteriorates at a much, much, much faster rate than granite or marble or bronze. So do yourself a favor, don't put any concrete visible. Now, disclaimer, we do use concrete for our foundations, but that's everything that's not seen. And that is for that reason, because concrete will look ugly in just a couple decades, really. Brick mausoleums, you see a lot of these, at least in our area. They, I imagine, are a more economical option over a granite mausoleum. However, you have the same problem with concrete, because that mortar that holds all the bricks together is concrete. And a lot of these brick mausoleums have a concrete precast roof on them. So that just doesn't hold up over time. You don't want your mausoleum falling apart in 50 years. So go ahead, if you're going to do a mausoleum, get granite or marble, but granite's going to be more economical than the marble. And number 1 type of headstone to avoid is going to be a exposed vault top. So this is going to be in some older graves, you'll see where they actually have the vault lid exposed, and that is the actual vault lid and then right past that is the casket. That is not recommended anymore. I think for the past several decades that's been out of favor. I don't know if it's illegal or not, but it's out of favor. So, however, there are still companies that will sell, I think funeral homes sell them, a secondary vault lid that will have the inscription, usually like a little marble tile that's like in the concrete and with the engraving information on it. And they'll bury the actual vault, beneath the ground, but then lay this to cover up the entire grave on top. Well, it'll look nice. Usually they'll paint them or something. They look nice for some years, and then they start falling apart because they are concrete. I would say stay away from these. We oftentimes talk to customers where they want to cover this up with a piece of granite. If it is just a superficial piece, we can remove it and replace it with something, but there has been a few instances where that's the actual casket right past that vault lid, so we cannot remove it. We have to actually encapsulate all of that in granite, which ends up looking very nice, but that's just an extra step that could have been avoided. But I would say if your goal is to cover up the entire grave, go ahead and get a granite ledger, is what we call them. And that's going to hold up the test of time, and they're probably not as expensive as you think. A granite ledger, if we get gray granite, starts around $2,500. That's usually cheaper than most people are expecting. So if that's something that interests you, try to stay away from the concrete. It's just going to give you a headache in the future. So that concludes our video of the top 5 types of headstones to avoid. It really boils down to avoid concrete, avoid something too thin, and those aluminum temporary markers are not meant to be long term. So I hope this helps. You can find us at parkermonuments.com. You can email us at parkermonuments@gmail.com. My name is Griffin Parker, and thanks for watching.